So, right off the back, I want to just talk about Spotify. I don't know if you've heard about the new rules that they're putting in place.
It's a bunch of different stuff.
Yeah,
They got the upload button.
They are now letting artists directly upload to the platform, not just labels.
Yeah,
yeah,
which
that's if I'm not mistaken. When did they put that rule into
I
place?
don't know if it's in effect as of yet, but they have definitely announced. I think it's in beta right now, but they have definitely announced that it's an upcoming feature. It will allow independent artists to upload their music directly to the platform instead of a label or aggregator. And they're saying the company will offer 50% of the revenue with the artists for the songs they upload. So,
That's Well, I guess that could be
mm,
better than what it's been. I mean, that's interesting, but I know the royalties for it is something like what point 0.0001 cent or something like
probably
that.
even less than that. But yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
so I mean,
yeah.
it's interesting. I mean, my stuff's on there. Of course, I being an indie artist, I went through for this first project through CD Baby. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, I guess anytime you can gain a little more control if you're an indie artist, that's a good thing. These labels, man, they're in trouble. I mean, I don't know
Yeah.
necessarily about how if this is good or bad for the Spotify thing, and I'm actually for my upcoming project, I'm potentially shopping around, maybe getting with the label. So,
Mm.
uh, but this is interesting. I'm going to have to do some more researching on this one. What's y'all's thoughts on that?
Oh man, it's interesting. It's weird because, like you said about the royalty situation, it leaves a lot for the average indie artist to not gain, except for exposure. Whereas, say, like a Chance the Rapper indie artist, or just like somebody more well known that isn't tied down to a label, it's going to allow them to do deals directly with Spotify, and
Yep.
um, essentially Spotify will be the label.
Spotify is the label.
So yeah, so that's why I'm like I don't know how that I feel about that. Like I don't know, that's kind of weird. It's like they were already kind of doing that with the exclusive album release deals and stuff.
Right.
Um, so for me, it just looks like they're kind of trying to like take the Netflix approach with original content and pay
Hmm.
artists, you know, except they're gonna like let independents have their spot. I don't know how the platform like interface is gonna work out. I don't know if it's gonna be, you know, like how easy is it gonna be to find all these new individuals and
Right.
it's complicated. It sounds like a complicated
Hmm.
thing that I'm sure they worked out, but I'm just interested to see how the platform handles this rollout. You know,
Right.
and
Right. Is this going to cut off people that are already with labels like artists? Similar like with Netflix,
hmm
although Netflix is kind of controlling their own destiny, there's certain things that you can't get on Netflix because of that. So I'm
right,
wondering if Spotify, like I was looking up, there's a couple of jazz artists. I was wanting to check out their albums a couple of weeks ago, and I realized that
mm.
they didn't have stuff on Spotify. But I think some of that
uh,
for on their part is by choice because they're
right,
European. They like people to go directly to them and purchase
hmm
music instead of just being able to stream it for free.
yeah,
But this is interesting, man. This is you know
yeah. It's
it
interesting because the flat rates, Apple Music, pays more for to artists in terms of streams, but like not that much more. It's still
right.
fractions, but
Um,
at the same,
I mean,
yeah. What do you think?
from my perspective, from a non-musician's perspective, from coming from more business side, it makes sense for them to do this because they don't have to pay labels the 55 percent they're already paying them. They can basically pay an artist less money for them to upload directly, and who knows, they can get an artist that can just blow up like they do on SoundCloud
Mm-hmm.
overnight
Hmm.
and not
Hmm.
have to worry about paying the labels and dealing with the labels issues. And they'll still be
Hmm.
paying out a lot less in the long run. The artist will be making more, but they'll be paying out less to the
Mm-hmm.
artist than they would to the label.
Right.
And then on top of that, they'll be kind of cutting out one of their biggest competitors in the space, which is SoundCloud. Because this is why SoundCloud is so popular with a lot of these artists, is because they don't have to have a label. They don't have to have like these aggregate groups to have their stuff be found or uploaded. So if you can just do this on Spotify, that's going to put even more pressure on SoundCloud to like kind of come up with something else. And they've already kind of been struggling on the money front. So,
well, that's because they don't have the download button.
Exactly. So it's just extremely smart.
They have the upload now, but they don't have the download. If we could buy music from them and store it on my phone without the platform, like if I delete Spotify and I could actually still have the music I bought through Spotify, they'd make money. But, you know.
Right.
Well, they just turned a profit for the first time ever.
Yeah. Man, I mean, that's interesting because, like, I have a business background, too. So, I mean, I agree with everything that you're saying, Dario, too. But then the artist in me makes me think about, like, kind of like what we talked about in the last podcast, and it seems like we always come back to when you're doing a comparison or of quality music. It seems like they're dumbing down their product just like everything else in the millennial culture in order to get more people. So they'll make more money, but now I'm concerned about like Bedroom Johnny that just, I just recorded this in my bedroom with this terrible software, but now I can upload my stuff directly to Spotify without...
Okay, so uploading is that, yes, you can upload, but it still goes through like a curation, like screening process before it actually gets put into it.
Good.
Like you can upload it for editorial consideration, for the editorial playlist, but it doesn't necessarily mean that everything that you upload is going to get thrown on there. So they still do some sort of quality control.
How can they like just monetize the stream?
No, it's not completely open.
Things, it would have to be some kind of clearances.
There's still some screening. There's still some, some curation. There's some checks and balances before music actually gets out there. But I mean, you're right. There is going to be. I mean, we've already seen it. There is the quality of the music is going to take a hit, and it's been taking a hit for the past, whatever. I wouldn't necessarily the quality. It's just the overwhelming quantity of music that's out there. The high quality stuff is a lot less because the pond is so big. When the pond is so much smaller and when it's so much harder to get into, you had to be kind of quality. Like, they had some gimmicks in there, but it was far less than it was the quality. But now it's like the gate is wide open. Anybody can hop in there. So like everything is flooded. You don't lose the quality, but it's just spread out so much more and it's so much harder to find in the forest, basically. But that's kind of the cost with it. Like you get more eyes, but at the same time you get more people, so.
Yeah. So now it's a matter of then how intricate is that curation screening process going to be? Because is it going to be something where it's as strict as a Pandora per se, where they're just like, even if the music's good, they're like, hey, we don't have a need for this now. But if that's the case, then having a label may be more beneficial because it gives you that clout kind of.
The label definitely helps. They are known. They're like a respected name, they respect, what their opinion about music is. So obviously that's going to help.
Mm-hmm.
But I think for like he was saying, for like independent artists to have kind of already established themselves, like Chance the Rapper, independent. Like for people like that, like that's really going to help them out so much because then they don't have to do these deals with anybody else. They can just do it completely with Spotify, and you don't have to be like Taylor Swift or like whatever these massive megastars to do it. You can still be a well-known commodity and still have that luxury of somebody with a big name like that. So I mean, it's gonna be interesting.
Modern day capitalism. I like it if you're a big name independent artist, because now you can control your own destiny. You can do your own negotiations and your own contracts.
They said you control, like you get 100% of the royalties and you get like 50% of the payout or whatever the revenue.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is pretty much just opened up partnership deals with streaming services.
They're just trying to replace the labels, basically. My curiosity is going to be how the labels respond to this, more so than, are they going to start pulling people from their platform because they're like trying to basically nudge them out of the way and just kind of cut out the middleman. So I want to see how, Are they gonna start excluding certain big name artists from there? Like, no, fuck you guys. You can't have
I don't
them.
know.
Him, you know.
I'm kind of surprised that like Universal doesn't have its own streaming service.
I mean, Spotify wasn't a conglomerate of a lot of record labels and record label execs.
Yeah, yeah. Everyone invested in it, but a lot of people pulled out. So I don't know who's still like.
Yeah, I'm not sure
with
exactly who's
Spotify.
still behind the scenes, but
Yeah,
I mean, it's hard. It's hard to make a streaming service and make it profitable. Ask Jay-Z. Ask, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
you got the most popular names, Jay, Beyonce, like Kanye, trying to push and they still struggling.
Yeah,
like,
but
it's
we're
not an
acting
easy
like
thing.
it's not working though. I mean, like just because like Jay-Z turned that company, like he quadrupled its worth in like 2 years, like
Yeah,
went
but
from,
they're
like,
still
40
in
million
a
to 400
they're
million
still far behind Spotify.
Oh,
and
way
even
far
Apple Music
behind.
now.
in the whole game. But Universal as a conglomerate has way more artists. Like if they
I mean,
tax
for sure,
these
they
streaming
could.
services
I mean,
harder,
They could.
they could push back.
They could.
push back.
They definitely could. I mean, you see it in TV. I mean, you see Disney. They're doing their own streaming service now.
Bro, Disney's
all
fucking
these
shit up.
all these individual channels and cable networks are starting to do their own streaming services. CBS is doing one. Like everybody's kind of pushing back on Netflix and not gonna just let you have a monopoly on everything. So yeah, I mean, I could definitely see labels trying to do it, but it's harder with music because music is so much cheaper to make. Like artists can come from anywhere. Like TV, you have to go through these people. To have a show produced, you have to go through these networks. And now with music, with everything, you don't have to go through them.
Yeah.
So it could happen.
What's
It's
the
just
cost
I
to
just
record?
don't see it going to the extreme that TV streaming is going right now. Where you have HBO Go, Showtime, you know what I'm saying, CBS, ABC, Disney, like Hulu, like it's almost too much.
Yeah, it's a lot going on, and most of us we only use. Like I have my certain favorites on, of course, on the TV. I
Fire
all
Stick.
these apps. I only use the same ones. I don't really use
Right.
Hulu. I use Netflix. And for somebody else, they may only use Hulu and they don't use Netflix. So it's all of these options, and it's
Two
becoming
words.
like a Pepsi Coke thing.
Fire Stick.
Oh, what'd you say, Dario?
Fire Stick. 2 words. Fire
Oh
Stick.
yeah. That's it. Yeah. Then you could get it all.
He's like, why choose?
I'm not saying I do it. Everybody out there listening, but I'm just saying
He
I
just has
hear
a roommate
it's
that
great.
does.
Yeah, I hear it's great.
Yeah. We got a new sponsor.
But I mean, before we get off this topic, I just kind of want to, I don't know, since you are a musician and you go through this process, can you kind of tell us the process of getting your music on Spotify?
Yeah, so that was one thing I was going to bring up is for me, I've only been through the process twice now, and it was once when I released my single off of my album, and then when I did the entire album. So I went through CD Baby, which is a distribution outlet. So what happens is with them, and there's other ones too, but they're all pretty much the same.
TuneCore.
What happened for the indie artists is you submit your information just to CD Baby, and then CD Baby disperses it everywhere, which is essentially, it's nice because it's the same thing that a label or an indie label would do for you. But you collect all of your money. So
Right.
now the drawback, of course, of that also is, again, like we was talking about earlier, there's no not having that name by you. I mean, that's what the labels can assist with, which makes it easier to get press. If you don't have a label, then the next step is trying to find a publicist or doing all of that work yourself. So it's a lot more groundwork on the back end that you have to do. And that's what I was going to say about the Spotify. So if you have one artist per se, this is just one more extra hoop you have to try to jump through. Like for me with my album, I had CD Baby taking care of like Spotify and that type of thing. But even still, there was certain work that I had to do on the back end to quote unquote apply. So like Pandora, I had to individually, like personally submit music to them because CD Baby didn't do it. And I actually think with Spotify, I think I had to sign up. I think I still signed up for Spotify. Like they put your music on there, but then to go through the verification process, all of that stuff, you're still doing all of that. So maybe it isn't an extra step. I need to actually go back and look at that. But yeah, I mean, like I said, man, when y'all brought that up, I definitely need to be researching that because I need to be thinking about what it is I do want to do for my upcoming projects. It may not be beneficial, even if I have labels coming at me to just sign away, especially knowing that the industry is constantly turning towards the artists. I mean, that's our generation in general. I mean, we're always capitalizing. You know, I mean, basketball is doing it. You know, you're seeing the Le'Veon Bell situation with Pittsburgh, where people are concerned. We understand our value a little more than before, maybe back in the day.
Sure. Can't keep raping people for what they earn. So
right.
How is there no football player that's as rich as any football owner?
Exactly.
First of all, why is there no football player like
owning
a Jordan of football? You know what I'm saying? Like there is none in terms of like money and influence and stuff like that. So like. They don't. Well, that's a whole nother thing with NFL.
Yeah, it is, man. But with all of us that played basketball before too, like the one thing I do appreciate, I mean, not to get off topic, is that the entrepreneurship and the mindset of the basketball player it seems like it's always been light years ahead of what the football players. They've allowed themselves to be controlled for so long that they don't understand necessarily that there's a better way.
Right.
And I've had conversations with people about that, with football, the fact that they're too afraid to go on strike. I mean, I understand most contracts aren't guaranteed.
I know, but the league should have been shut down. Like, I'm surprised they're still playing football.
It's their players' union, man.
Well, the NBA stopped playing.
They don't have a backbone. Yeah, they don't have backbone, man. They almost went on strike a couple years ago, and then the players, they panicked in the meetings, and they gave the owners even more control, which was crazy.
That's what I was thinking. I mean, because the NBA, at least, in like you said, with the basketball example, because the NBA actually had like things changed, like their regular season.
I'll say there's one big difference. I'll say there's one big difference between NBA and NFL though. In the NFL, there's how many people on the team?
53 players.
53 roster.
Plus practice squad.
You have like third, fourth string players. In the NBA, it's 12-man, 14-man rosters.
Yeah.
So, and then in the NBA, if you're a star basketball player, there's not somebody that can just come in and step in and kind of do what you do. And football, it's very, very interchangeable, a lot of those positions. So a lot of those people really can't risk losing that position because there's going to be like 100, 200 plus more people who are viable that can step in and do what you were doing. Maybe not to your same exact level, but to a high enough level where they're going to take that person over you because it's less of a risk and less of a headache. So,
right. But that's
one huge difference between the NBA and NFL. NBA, the players have all the power because they are the face of the franchise. In NFL, there's very few faces of a team. It's just the team. Jerry Jones is the face of the Cowboys, not nobody else. Like it's so it's different. But all right. But before we gotta move on to the next topic. So, but before that, can you slide to your left for me a little bit? Sure. Yeah. Try to get yourself in the center. Cutting yourself off in half, man. People can't see you. All right, you good.